Hey, what's already? Welcome back to News Dose, and well, we got some contrasting messages from Xbox and PlayStation over the weekend. I think this is actually very telling in what their futures behold for their respected fan bases and how they're positioning themselves for next generation. Plus, we got a new Breakout Hit that exploded online this past weekend, and I think you're gonna want to stay tuned for what that game is. First, though, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's go and get right into things, though, starting off with Persona 5. As of August, it officially surpassed 13 million units sold, which is just absolutely incredible, and even more so because it once again destroys the myth that turn-based games can't sell. I mean, we've seen it time and time again that turn-based games can sell extremely well, whether that be for Expedition 33, Baldur's Gate 3, Dragon Quest XI, the Pokemon franchise, which is quite literally one of the most successful game series of all time, and here with Persona 5. Now, as for Persona 5 specifically, though, there's a couple really cool things about its success. One is that it's the breakout hit that the Persona series needed. I mean, the series as a whole has always been amazing. Personally, Persona 4 Golden is my favorite, but the thing is that Atlus hasn't always been the best in terms of business decisions, and Persona 5 was kind of the change that they needed. Persona 5 really put this franchise in front of a mainstream audience, and that's not just because of how good it is and how well it has reviewed, but just as much is also the fact that Sega pushed it to go multi-platform. Now, if you're a longtime viewer, you probably know that I had been begging for this to happen for years on the channel, because back then, I firmly believed it would be the best thing for this long-running franchise. And I mean, look at it go. It's one of those rare games that continues to put up big numbers year in and year out, and some of that does come from the fact that it is now available everywhere. The reality is that this game would not have reached 13 million units without being on multiple platforms. So, yeah, big congrats to Atlus, big congrats to Sega, and also, most importantly here, to all of you Persona fans out there, because this is a massive step for this series. All right, now let's go talk about a new handheld, and this is the Anbernic RGDS. Now, this is a new emulation DS style of console, and while we have gotten a few of those this year already, this one is still unique because Anbernic is well known for solid quality at a great price tag. So unlike the other dual screen options in the market, while yes, technically they might be better on paper just in terms of their specs, this, that, and the other, but with the RGDS, you're not going to have to pay multiple $100s, but instead, you only have to pay $99 or $94 with their early bird discount. Pre-orders are now live, and based on the specs, this is strictly meant for Nintendo DS games. And I think that is important to understand in this case, because if you want something for, let's say, the 3DS, then this is not going to be that device. Now, it might play a few 3DS games as they showcased in their trailer, but for the most part, it's going to be limited in that aspect. So if you want to emulate 3DS games, then I'd say maybe go with the AYN Thor. That would probably be the best option right now. And honestly, I think that device will be a lot of people's favorite emulation console this year. However, even with that, the Anbernic RGDS is still a fun budget option, especially if you just want to play DS games. I do also like the fact that this is coming in right before the holidays. I think this could be a fun gift for anybody who likes the Nintendo DS. Oh, and it sounds like we are going to get a reveal for the Super Mario Galaxy movie later this month, or at least that's according to a Movie Scoops outlet by the name of My Time to Shine. They posted this over on Twitter, and it reads, "Scoop, the Mario Galaxy trailer will be attached to Wicked for Good, meaning it will release online before November 21st. Now, this is just a rumor, and that is something that we need to keep in mind here, but they do have 196,000 followers, and they seem pretty respected online. So, I mean, we'll see what happens here in the next few weeks, but what I will say is that the timing of all of this does make a lot of sense. I mean, Nintendo already confirmed an April launch, so I mean, it's about that time to start making that announcement a little bit more mainstream within cinemas. Okay, so let's go and talk about Xbox and PlayStation, because they both dropped some new ads this past weekend, and I mean, the contrast between the two could not be any more clear. On one side, we have Microsoft, and they are further leaning into their "this is an Xbox" campaign, but now they're telling us how you can turn almost everything into an Xbox. That is the actual title for this on YouTube, and I mean, it showcases a phone turning into an Xbox, a TV turning into an Xbox, and even a small laptop. Basically, they laid out this ad to say you just need an Xbox controller, and of course, the recently more expensive version of Xbox Game Pass, and I mean, this ad has been about as well received as you might expect. It currently has just 1.7 thousand likes compared to 6.4 thousand dislikes. And the comments are equally as brutal. This person said, "If this is an Xbox, then nothing is an Xbox." While this person said, "This strategy is ridiculous. Who in Xbox was delusional enough at such extent to believe it will be a success?" And I'm going to go and give you your answer right now. I think a lot of this does not come from somebody specifically within Xbox, but rather this shift comes from Microsoft's upper management. The Xbox team, I think, is just trying to do their best to meet their demands. And here's the thing. You're completely allowed to disagree with these comments if you want. You can even believe that this is a brilliant ad if you want. But the fact remains that these comments got a ton of likes, and the ad itself got a ton of dislikes. So the game community, I'd say as a whole right now, is trying to tell Microsoft that this is a bad idea. And I'll say right now, personally, I don't like it either. To me, their messaging contradicts a reason to own an Xbox console. And that's what Xbox gamers are concerned about right now. Now, that's not to say that there aren't reasons to be excited about their next Xbox, because if the rumors prove to be true, then they do have some interesting ideas, or at least on paper. But even as of right now, if you look at the data, Xbox consoles currently aren't selling. And you can make a very real argument that it's because of messaging and decisions like this. Microsoft Gaming has shifted Xbox's entire strategy since the Activision acquisition to the point that there's not much of a reason to buy into the Xbox Series. Now again, it does sound like the Xbox team has some unique ideas for their next console that might change that narrative a little bit. But with this type of messaging and with no exclusives, they are going to have an uphill battle ahead of them, and because of that, their next console could also still end up being very niche. Now, personally, I think Team Xbox is kind of expecting that. I think they'll be perfectly happy if they sell, 10 to 20 million consoles, but Microsoft's belief in cloud gaming is quite fascinating to me, considering the lack of proof that it'll ever take off. I mean, it seems like they want to cater to this imaginary audience, but because of that, it almost feels like they're turning their back on their already established audience, and, that's never really a good thing. I mean, as long as they're selling Xbox consoles, then these type of ads are never gonna be well received, and I can't imagine that these ads are bringing in a lot of new consumers either. I mean, honestly, I would love to see the data for that myself, but what's really interesting about all of this is that Sony also dropped their new ad campaign, and its slogan is really the complete opposite. It's instead titled, "It Happens on PlayStation 5. Now, the ads themselves are nothing to write home about. They're live action, and quite honestly, they're a little bit bizarre, but it's once again about the messaging to their consumers and their fan base. Microsoft are basically telling consumers, you don't have to buy an Xbox consoles. Just play Xbox games anywhere and everywhere. Whereas Sony, they're telling consumers, if you want to play games, if you want to play PlayStation games, then buy our console. So it's really all about messaging and what you're telling your consumers. And that's one thing that Microsoft and Xbox, quite frankly, have always been terrible at. This dates all the way back to the Xbox One days, and it just kind of feels like they have a hard time connecting with gamers. And this entire campaign has been quite a mess. But here we are, and they seem absolutely 100% committed to it. I don't know, you can take that how you want, but let me know what you think about this. Do you like Xbox's message, or do you think that it's just bad? Now, one more thing before we go, though, we do have a new breakout hit being Arc Raiders. Now, there was some pre-release hype for this, but I mean, just wow. It absolutely exploded onto the scene. Over the weekend, it hit a peak high of 354,000 concurrent players on Steam. Now, it is also available on Xbox and PlayStation, which that is important to keep in mind here. Those numbers could be quite a bit higher, but either which way, it's currently the 4th most played game on Steam. I mean, this is a brand new IP. It very well could continue to grow, similar to how Helldivers 2 built Steam post-release. But if you're unaware, this is a new extraction shooter, which I think that alone is interesting, just for the simple fact that 9 times out of 10, these games typically fail. But Arc Raiders, I mean, it really seems like it's one of the few exceptions that is actually succeeding. Now, the other thing is that this game comes from the same studio behind the Finals, which, I mean, that game did have a lot of potential when it first launched, had a strong base and everything, and because of that, the Finals also had a pretty big launch. But I almost feel like Arc Raiders will do what the Finals didn't, and that's to sustain its success over a long period of time. And the reason I say that is because Arc Raiders is getting a lot more praise. It currently has a 90% approval rate on Steam, and some people are even saying that it's their game of the year. Again, it is a PvPvE extraction shooter, and I'd say if anything else, if you haven't played this game or if you haven't heard about it until now, well, now you have, so maybe go check it out. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode, but until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.